back again with how should we be with our children. Now I remind you once again that it is God who enables you to be positive with your children, because positive qualities only exist within the divine part of your child's mind. Positive qualities do not exist within the human mind. The human mind makes them aggressive, taking, just like we are. And so how are we going to encourage a child to be different than the way the world is? The world is survival-oriented. Can we deal with this within the child? The answer is yes, that to the extent that you can deal with it, to the extent that you sense the godly being that is within you, to the extent that you feel comfortable with the expression of godly being, is the extent that you're going to show it to your child. It's not so much what we say, it's how we act with them. And to be able to show love means to be essentially a listener, an open person to what your child is trying to express to you. To be a listener, that the child can feel that you welcome the interaction. And there's a good reason that you can do that, because as you develop your own sense of self, what's going on is that you know there is a oneness between you and the child, that the child is not in opposition to you. The child is in trouble with the difficulties of abandoning their negative feelings about themselves, but there is a oneness, an automatic action within inside themselves, which when it becomes welcomed by the parent, the child can step into, because there's a safety to it. The child is feeling comfortable because the child is feeling your oneness with them. Now, is that oneness spoken of in Scripture? Yes, it is. That we hear Jesus stating to Philip, Philip, I'm in the Father, and I'm in you, and you're in me. The oneness. The oneness is expressed again by Jesus, and which comes in the Jewish scripture as well. That don't you know that you're gods? Doesn't your law teach you that you're gods? And gods, of course, relate to each other from oneness, because gods know everything and interact in every way. So within your child there is the awareness of their godliness, small g, of their godliness. There is a sense within them that when it is violated, the child feels that something is wrong. It isn't going to say to you that you violated my godliness until it picks up your language and the way that you live and speak with the child. But the crucial element is, are you open to the fact that your child is just as lost as you are? The minute they step their foot into this world, they are lost. And the single aspect that is so helpful is that God has enabled you to see that lostness. And so when your child approaches you, to be able to turn to God and be able to get into that openness, that you remember I told you that Mary, when I had a vision of her, there was Mary with her hands out to me, spread like that, the openness, welcoming me. That when you read the footladder of Notes Divine, that's on our website, God's dictation of this healing curriculum to me, you will see God speaking of God's great love for you, repeatedly, in order to get through to you enough times for you to want to take a chance to see if it's true and let God help you. It's the same with your child, that if you turn to God, let me handle this moment, as you want me to be is the finest step that you can make. The finest step, that in your relationship with the child, that you turn for solutions as God would want them to be, that best blesses your child and blesses you. And will also open up areas where you can recognize that there are problems with it as well. And I, for instance, need group meetings as much as group members need them with me, because I watch my reactions in the group, that if somebody doesn't agree with me, what do I feel? Do I welcome it? Do I say it's interesting to see how we have different opinions? Do I accept the fact that there will be people who do not want to belong to the group anymore? Do I wish them well? Thank you for as long as you have been with us, and if you're coming back again, no, we were so glad to be able to see you again. Or do I huff and puff? Oh, now wait a minute, just before you leave, now let's just talk about this. Trying to stop them because I'm offended that somebody doesn't look upon me as the great one. It depends on where I'm at, where God has enabled me to be at in my feelings about myself, that I can be free to let the other person be free and handle their problems with God and support that, rather than being the one who steps in order to meet my need for respect from the other person and not to be offended by it. It's the same with our children. You're going to find irritability to surface within you, which is the hint that there is a problem in yourself, that you're being made uncomfortable, instead of knowing that God has the solution to every single issue that exists with your child or with you, and that God is enabling you bit by bit to extend to the child the freedom of God within them and the speed and the context of which God is solving their issues of loneliness, of aloneness, just as it is with you. The crucial thing is to be able to do that with your child, and for that you need God's delivery of it at God's pace, because God can't land on you with a cosmic thunderbolt in order to get you to change. It has to be as gentle with you, bringing about your gentleness with your child. Now, you send your child off to school, or maybe you don't. Maybe you homeschool them, or maybe you have found a school that meets the godly needs of a child. The issue becomes that we need to recognize that the human state is a playground in which the being, our being, denies the knowledge of what we are. And the only way we ever get the knowledge is that we will simply turn to God and ask God, let me see the answer at this moment that you want me to live by. And so you would be encouraging your child as part of their education, if you want to call it education or awareness, to be able to grow silent and to wait for God. And if they see you doing it, and they feel a comfort from it coming from your doing it, you are encouraging your child to do the same thing. Or even to pray out loud, to let your child hear how you look for God to provide you with answers to circumstances or to relationships going on with the child. And it's so reassuring to them to know that there is a centering on them, that automatically they can feel a comfort from it, or that before they're ready to let go and let you deliver that comfort, there might be an objection, a fear on their part, and that you can accept their fear as well and let them be afraid and take that into prayer. Beloved, my child is feeling an uneasiness, and we both want a solution to this, and you're helping us to go ahead and get it. Again, the acceptance of your child. And if child has to go to school, to be able to review with you what is going on, to encourage the child if there are unloving things going on in the school, or they're being taught unloving things in the school, to be able to bring that to you. Well, let's pause at this point before we go on to the next matter with children.